Hello, Girl Scout volunteers. Before we get started, I just want to thank you all for everything that you've done this summer to keep the Girl Scouts of Sierra Nevada strong. For all of the porch drops and emails and phone calls and Zoom calls and Zoom calls and all of those Zoom calls. We really appreciate everything that you've done as volunteers to try and keep your girls connected. And I know that you're looking forward to starting all of the in-person meetings. So the following clips are guidelines for how you can use the Girl Scouts of Sierra Nevada building for your in-person meetings. However, we also ask that you follow all of these reopening guidelines regardless of where you're meeting. If you are meeting outside, you still need to have your face masks. If you are meeting in a volunteer's home, if you're meeting at another location, a church or another building that doesn't have these guidelines, we ask that you still implement these guidelines in order for your Girl Scout troop to meet safely. That is the ultimate goal. We want all of our volunteers and all of our girls to stay safe during these very interesting times. And we know that the Girl Scout experience is best done in person. But if that is not possible, we are also working very hard to still offer as many virtual options as possible to your girls and to their families. So please watch these short clips for how to meet in person at the Girl Scout office and read the reopening plan thoroughly and make sure that you apply those guidelines to any in-person meetings that you have going forward. And welcome back.
Hey troop leaders, this is Carrie Harding coming to you from the GSSN building. We are going to show you the guidelines real quick for how to use the office and the conference room for your in-person Girl Scout meetings. We're super excited that the girls are going to be able to come back and meet in person some, but we do have some very important guidelines that we need all troops to follow if they want to meet here in our office. So the very first guideline, the most important thing, is that all girls must wear a mask, all girls and volunteers, while in the building. So as soon as your parents come in to drop off their girls, they're going to pull up to the front of the building, they're going to make sure their girl has their mask on, and then they're going to allow her to come into the building. Now, parents will not be able, please inform them ahead of time, they will not be able to stay in the lobby. They will need to stay in their vehicles during the meeting, or they will need to drop off their girls and then come back. So our lobby space is very small, and there just isn't enough room for people to safely socially distance. So make sure that all the girls know they need to have their mask on as soon as they come in. Also, real quick, I'm going to show you my homemade sign, but we will have a sign made and put to the front of the building. We'll ask 5 questions. Make sure, maybe in an email ahead of time, but also as they are coming in, that you have the girls read these 5 questions and answer them. So, do you have a cough? Do you have a fever? Have you lost your sense of taste or smell? And have you been in contact with someone who has tested positive for COVID-19 that you know of? So we will have a sign out front. We also recommend that the troop make its own sign. So if you're meeting somewhere else, you can ask these questions ahead of time. So make sure you ask the questions, make sure you have on your mask, and then also, real quick, always, every year at the beginning of your meeting, you would collect a troop permission slip and a health form. So you have a troop permission slip, you have your health form, and now you also have a COVID waiver that we need to have signed before you can have your first meeting. So these are super easy. We will send them to you in a format that you can email to the parents ahead of time. And in that first meeting, you just need to collect those 3 pieces of paper. So again, as soon as you come in, you're going to make sure you have your 3 pieces of paper. You're going to make sure the girls have answered their questions and that everyone has a mask on. And then you're ready to start your meeting. Okay, now we're going to talk about how to socially distance while you're in your meeting. Once the girls have come in, please assign them a spot. We have put blue tape on the floor to map out 6 feet in between each girl. You can come through and measure however you like depending on how many girls you have, so you can place them in the room where you want as long as they stay 6 feet apart and the adults are 6 feet from them. If they need a workspace, you can use the tables. We have individual tables where you can put one girl at the table and put the tables 6 feet apart, or we have 6-foot tables that you can put a girl at either end of, and then make sure you put enough space between the next table and yourself so that they can all work on their projects in their own space 6 feet apart. Another thing to remember, it's hard to keep these masks on, that they need to keep their mask on, and the adult volunteers need to keep the mask on while you're in the building. Each child will need their own supplies. They are not able to share supplies, so just like at school, make sure they have their own little kit with their own supplies. While you're in the meeting, staying socially distant, you are able to play games, sing songs, do everything that you normally do, except for one thing: we will not be having snack. So please be aware, if you meet right after school, the kitchen will be closed when you're in this office, and we are not allowing snack, during troop meetings, just because it requires the girls to take their masks off. So there will not be snack. That is how you will work through the meeting. One last thing, when you get to the end of your meeting, remember, we may not be able to do the friendship circle or hold hands or do things we normally do, but we can still have a fun ending to our meeting. So make sure when it's time for everything to be done, that you come up with a fun activity for the girls to do in their own space, to sign off, to end the meeting, to know they're done, and to say goodbye to their friends. Thank you. So I talked about ending your meeting with a fun activity, but I forgot to mention one important thing. Before you end your meeting and have your final activity, all of the girls need to participate in cleaning up and making their space better than how they found it. So all touch points must be cleaned. A touch point would mean if you use the tables and chairs, you need to clean the top of the chair where anyone touched the chair. You need to clean the surface of the table. You also need to clean any light switches or door handles that were touched, and you need to clean the restroom. So you need to separate the girls. Again, they need to stay distant. You can give each girl a job, an area to clean. You can use Clorox wipes, any type of wipes. You can use spray bottles, something that is a disinfectant, and paper towels. You will be required to provide these supplies yourself, so you should use your troop funds to buy a small kit of cleaning supplies if you're planning to meet here.
Hi troop leaders, just going over basic mask rules. Please remember to put your mask all the way across your face. That includes your nose and your mouth. Please don't pull it down when you're talking. You can spit on other people when you're talking, so we want to keep our mouth covered at all times. Please also remember that you can't keep it under your nose. This is not effective. You need to put it on your whole face, your nose, and your mouth. Please don't let your girls walk around in our building like this. You see this a lot. And that's it.
Now we will talk about meeting outside with your troop. When meeting outdoors, all the same precautions need to be followed as if you are meeting inside, which means you must still ask the 4 screening questions. You must have the girls' health forms, troop permission slips, and COVID-19 activity waivers on hand. All girls must be 6 feet apart, and troop leaders must stay 6 feet from them, and everyone must wear a mask. That's it! Please comply with all of these guidelines and have fun. And once again, a big thank you to all of you, our amazing troop leaders, for all you are doing to ensure a meaningful time for our Girl Scouts.